Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving exclusive access into people, businesses, and events in our community. We're bringing you this show live daily weekdays at 9:30 a.m. with your host, me, Maddie Muschin. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from our Greater West Bloomfield community going above and beyond. If you would like to submit entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen and fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons why you think they should be recognized here on the Splash Live for our Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. Our first event we want to look at is the West Bloomfield Township Public Library events. They're hosting a ton of fun and educational events for residents of West Bloomfield in all age groups. As all of the events for this week have concluded, you can start registering for all their great events next week. Some of those events are on Monday at 10:30 a.m. They're holding their virtual Hop into Spring Storytime, where you can register for your children that are under 5 years of age to sing, dance, and read stories to get into the springtime spirit. Next Tuesday at 11 a.m., they will have their virtual preschool Smart Money Kids Read class, where your child will be able to be introduced to the importance of money management. They will be able to hear from interactive stories, sing songs, and participate in activities that will help your child learn about the use of money and how to save it. For all these events, you can register on their website at wblib.org. Something ongoing at the library is your ability to rent out those great literacy and tender topic kits that will help your child with literacy skills and ways to learn about tough topics that are happening in our community. You can register for these and rent them out by stopping into the library or calling the youth services desk at the library to reserve your kit of choice. Our next event we want to look at is the Keego Harbor Canal Cleanup. This Saturday, April 2nd, volunteers are needed to help the Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation Commission clean out the mouth of the canal that runs through Fran Leaf Park and alongside Willow Beach Swim Site. You can contact the Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation to join and help clean up our community while also enjoying the outdoors. This is a great way to get out and give back to your Keego Harbor community through making sure that the canal is clean for the springtime. The next event we want to look at is the Sylvan Salon. This will be their 5th salon that the Sylvan Lake Committee is hosting. Those salon events at their core are opportunities to explore a myriad of topics with friends and neighbors new and old. This third part of their events covering the Holocaust, it will be part 3 on April 5th. Sylvan Lake residents will be relating to their parents' Holocaust stories. It will be hosted by Sally Rogers-Siegel and David Frankel. Mr. Lessing will also be returning as a guest, but this time to listen and learn, as he won't be formally presenting again. This salon will take place at 6 p.m. for their social hour, and presentations will go from 7 p.m. to 8:15. If you have any questions or want to reserve your spot, you can contact Kelly Krause at 248-797-6730 for more information. All the proceeds from your ticket will help fund live music in Sylvan Lake this summer. If you have an event you would like us to feature here on the Splash Live, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, I'll be talking with Jennifer Tucker, the Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. But before that, this week we nominated someone for our Person of the Week who has dedicated the past 30 years to making sure that West Bloomfield parks are maintained for our West Bloomfield community. Joe Ketchum, Park Superintendent for West Bloomfield Parks and Rec, has worked with the staff and his team to create fun and beautiful park environment for our community that has allowed West Bloomfield Parks to be a place where residents can come and socialize. Let's go check out why we named Joe Ketchum our Person of the Week.
Our Person of the Week is someone who has given over 30 years of hard work to West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. Joe Ketchum has worked as the athletic field maintenance supervisor and worked his way up the ladder to become the park superintendent, where he looks over the various projects in the parks as well as supervising his park staff. Joe has also joined us on the Splash Live to talk about his position as park superintendent.
What do you want me to talk about first? We have 3 major projects this summer. First one I'll start off with is an important one. We're going to be installing hawk lights along our trail network, the West Bloomfield Trail. These hawk lights will be
Joe's hard work has been recognized in the community through winning multiple awards, such as the Park Resource Leadership Award that was given to him by the Michigan Recreation and Parks Association. His dedication to West Bloomfield Parks and Rec allows each and every community member to spend time outdoors with their family and friends. After 30 years with WB Parks and Rec, Joe is retiring in early May, leaving behind a legacy of commitment to WB Parks that his staff hopes to uphold.
I would just say, just keep an eye open, on our website to see updates for any possible park closures and court closures. And to, if anybody has ideas, to make sure that they let our parks commissioners know and let the staff know.
Through his love for West Bloomfield and care for nature, Joe has made an impact in our West Bloomfield community for years to come. His dedication to WB Parks and Rec is just one of the many reasons why we named Joe Ketchum our Person of the Week.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Joe.
Well, you're welcome. Have a great day, and everybody have a great holiday season.
Congratulations to Joe on his retirement, and thank you for making West Bloomfield Parks one of the great assets to our community here in West Bloomfield. If you'd like to attend his retirement party, you can head over to the West Bloomfield Parks website under Joe's staff profile page to fill out the Google form to attend. Later on, we'll be taking a look at some of our highlights from the 4th annual State of the Communities address about some of the community programs that we have here in Greater West Bloomfield. But before that, we will be talking to Jennifer Tucker, Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks and Rec. All that and more after this short break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. Joining us now to talk about what is going on in West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation is Jennifer Tucker, the Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks since 2014. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Maddie. Happy spring.
Yes. So Jennifer, you guys recently announced some news about your Senior Connect Center that is currently located in Orchard Mall. Can you give our viewers some insight into that news?
Absolutely. So prior to COVID-19, we opened a space at the Orchard Mall in partnership with the Orchard Mall. They were so gracious in giving us the space for just the maintenance costs. So we had a lease for 3 years, and then everyone knows the story. COVID happened. So that space was kind of a test to see if we established a senior center, if folks would want to participate. Because before we spent millions of dollars on a facility, we wanted to make sure that we were going in the right direction. Well, we opened, our grand opening was January 15th. By the end of the month, we had over 300 members. And so the proof was definitely in the pudding, as they say. And but unfortunately, that March of that year, we closed for COVID. So obviously out of everyone's hands. So our timeline at that time was to be a little further along than we are right now in planning and development of a facility. So we're hitting the ground running as much as we can, but that lease is up May 31st. We have Orchard Mall, understandably, has a someone that is interested in this space for full, rate of rent, and they are going to taking that corner spot that we have. Obviously, we're sad to go, but on the same, we completely understand, and we were just so thankful to Orchard Mall to do something that generous in allowing us to have at least some time at Connect, and hopefully we helped each other out. So what our plan is of now, we are moving senior services back to the Recreation Activity Center, which is on the campus of the township. Some services won't be, that require a bigger facility, will be in other spaces. And honestly, we're still working out some logistics, but in working with some community partners, and soon as we get some agreement signed, I will be able to talk freely about that. But I think we're right on the cusp of a new opportunity, is the way I'm looking at it. And not only that, we're right in the throes of our needs assessment for the Recreation Activity Center to make this facility bigger and be able to accommodate senior services, more nature services, and more community services. So we are working hard to get that done and see what our next steps are. So we're pretty excited and positive about what's to come. I know it's a little turbulent. Bear with us. We're doing everything we can and working as fast as we can to get this all squared away. And I think at the end of the day, I think we're going to be in a better place. So.
And Jennifer, what does this mean for the seniors in our West Bloomfield community who frequently visit the Connect Center in Orchard Mall?
Basically, what that means is you're just going to have to come over to the Recreation Activity Center and see me and have coffee over here. So it's not very far away. And for now, until we to kind of solidify what the next steps are and where we can put our senior activities, the hub, if you will be at the Recreation Activity Center. So we look forward to that and having patrons back here. So honestly, the only patrons we've had are the ones that come to the desk. We really haven't had programs back in this building since COVID. So it'll be back to hustle and bustle, and that'll be exciting to have a little more excitement around here.
And Jennifer, for the people that have been to the Connect Center before, you guys have a ton of great activities and programs. How will this move to the Recreation Activity Center at the West Bloomfield Township campus change the environment and some of the community programs that will be happening with the senior group?
I don't think it'll change much other than you'll be in a different space. Obviously, our staff will still be there. We'll have the same instructors depending on what you're participating in. It's just basically we're going to need to change the venue, if you will. So, but so hopefully we're trying to do this without a hitch, and hopefully our seniors have participated over here at the Recreation Activity Center and they're familiar with where it is. And I think that the campus is a nice setting to bring our seniors back home, basically.
And Jennifer, the Connect Center, the seniors in our community, they have memberships for all the programs that you guys have there. Will there be any changes in the types of memberships that the seniors in our community have, whether that's a price point or just maybe changing it to those drop-in classes?
So the price point will not change. We are doing some extensions. If anyone's unhappy, we gladly, if they just had a membership a couple days before we knew this was going to happen, we will definitely honor refunds. We just want people to be happy, honestly. So I don't think it's going to really change much with the membership. We still are going to offer those classes in the coffee. So I don't think it's going to change that. We're still the same group, and we still love to see our seniors out.
And Jennifer, as we wrap up, how can the viewers that are looking to get updates about the Connect Center and all of your other programs stay up to date on the news and all of the updates that will be coming out?
So the best, one of the best ways is to go on our website, and they will be prompted to get on our mailing list. That's probably the best way that we push information out. Our Connect members also get updates early before the general public does. So also, if you want to stay up to date, feel free to become a member. Sheila is our membership coordinator, and she's fantastic. You will love her. And go see Sheila and sign up, and we will bring you along as we know what's happening, and we'll get the information out as soon as possible.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us some great updates on what's going to be happening with the Connect Center here in Orchard Mall.
Oh, thank you, Maddie, and try not to blow away today.
Yes. Once again, I was joined by the Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation, Jennifer Tucker, giving us some of those updates about where and what will be happening with the Connect Center here in West Bloomfield. We held the 4th annual State of the Communities Address this year that allows leaders in our 4 communities to talk about topics that are impacting our greater West Bloomfield community. During the address, the leaders talked about their community programs and how they're keeping their community connected, especially during the time of social distancing and virtual events. Let's go check out what our community leaders had to say. This year, for the 4th annual State of the Communities Address, we talked to leaders in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield about how certain topics such as the COVID-19 pandemic and infrastructure are changing in their communities. Let's go check out what the leaders had to say about their community programs that they had last year and how those will be changing in 2022.
We had a very successful family fun night this fall. We replaced skate night, more of a family fun night with a live band, and they're planning on trying to do 2 or 3 of those during the season this year to really help with that entertainment. We're definitely getting back to having a Memorial Day parade this year. The Easter egg hunt, I believe, is going to take place. We're going to still have our tree lighting ceremony. They did, because of COVID, they did a Taste of Kego a little bit different this year, where you discounts at restaurants to go in there. I think the hopes are is to get back to having a Taste of Kego at Santia Hall and maybe even in the outside out there.
Visits to Apple Island, which of course is owned by the West Bloomfield School District, and it's very well worth going over there. There are going to be 2 new boats this year that West Bloomfield has bought. Our annual community block grant funds are dedicated to and allocated to the Haven shelter. We do this pretty much every year. Our St. Mary's Fair has been a big item in our community for years. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen this year. Of course, it didn't happen last year, and I'm not sure what the future will bring. But those are some of the things that we've done.
A bit over a year ago, we passed an ordinance to provide a system by which residents can submit an application to hold a community event in public spaces. It has been incredibly successful, and we are thrilled to see our community center being regularly utilized by residents. The challenge has brought, the change has brought food trucks, small outdoor concerts at our community center, a weekly game night and yoga event, and public speakers, and anyone has the opportunity with a good idea to make it a reality in Sylvan Lake. Our greatest asset is the community we foster. We have hardworking, generous neighbors who want to participate and work together to make Sylvan Lake the prettiest little city in the state of Michigan.
The health fair will be held, I believe, on June the 9th, and this is a good opportunity to commend Suzanne Levine, and you know her. She's the president and executive director of the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. Imagine having that role during COVID when businesses are closing. She maintained that organization. Our Parks Commission and our library, they constantly are offering programs, especially to senior citizens.
you can watch the entire 4th annual State of the Communities address to hear more from your leaders about these topics and what's going on in your community. Reporting for the Splash Live, I'm Maddie Muschen.
Thank you to all our community leaders for joining us for the 4th annual State of the Communities address. If you have any more questions or want to get more information, you can watch the entire 4th annual State of the Communities address on our website at civiccentertv.com, as well as on our YouTube page at Civic Center TV. Joining us now to talk about his career in the music industry and give advice to musicians who are looking to break into the industry is singer and musician from West Bloomfield, Steve Acho. Steve, thank you so much for joining us again this morning.
Hi, Maddie. Thanks for having me.
So, Steve, since we last talked to you here on The Splash, you played your first live event in over a year. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how good it felt to get back out on the live performance stage?
Yeah, I can't even tell you how good. I'm such a live guy that I get so much energy from people being in the room, you know. I'm not much of a studio performer, so there's some musicians that are kind of one or the other, you know. They're really good just kind of by themselves in a studio recording, and I feel like I do better when I have the energy of people because I'm performing to them. So it was just great. And in fact, the venue that I played is a brand new venue that just opened. In fact, it was the grand opening. And our friend Tony Sposita, that owns Sposita's here in West Bloomfield on 14 in Farmington, is just a longtime music buff and guitar guy. And he asked me to open his new place that is in the Walled Lake area. I don't even think you can find it on Google yet. It's that new. But we did kind of a private show there and sold tickets and completely sold it out. There was a room full of awesome people. I had it live streamed, and there were people in across the U.S. and in about 3 or 4 different countries watching the show live. And we recorded it, so it'll be. I'll have some videos coming out from that live show. But yeah, I mean, it was just after. I can't even remember how long, but for sure more than a year since I've played in front of other humans and not a camera. It was amazing.
And Steve, as the COVID restrictions are relaxing a little bit for in-person events, for musicians and singers that are looking to get back into the world of live performances, what is your advice to them as we go back into a more normal world?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be able to give good advice, but I'm not sure that it is as difficult because people are looking to get back to some semblance of normal again. And there are just a lot of, you know, restaurants and bars and venues that are looking to hire musicians. So, I mean, I would say you can just be proactive, right? Like just, you know, Google whatever city you're in and find out where there are live performances. And you can just contact them and say, hey, I want to do a show there, or I want to come in and perform, and who do I go to get booked? And I think it's much easier now because they're looking for people, right? They're looking for reasons for people to go out, and especially people love live music. So you can see all the concerts. I mean, I'm going to a comedy show tomorrow night. I can't wait. Like I've been to a few events in the last several months that just makes me feel like I'm almost a normal human in a normal world.
And Steve, for some of those musicians over the past 2 years that maybe got into the industry at the start of the pandemic and had never performed live before, do you have any advice for them as they push themselves out of their comfort zone and breach into the live performance venues?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I'm kind of in between the generations because I came up performing when I was, you know, younger in front of people, and I was never super comfortable performing to just a lens, right? You know, even when there are like videotapes and stuff like that. And I think the younger generation is the opposite, right? Like you say, they don't have as much experience with actual people in the room, and they're used to performing for their phone or their camera, and then they can go back and edit it, or they can go back and say, I didn't like that, I'm going to do it again. So the best advice I can give anyone who wants to get better at doing anything is just to do it, just to keep, you know, to if you haven't performed in front of people, there's this kind of most people have a hard time doing what you do, knowing lots of people are watching. and performing in front of other people. And I say just start small and then gradually make it bigger, right? So I would perform in front of my family and friends, and then I would perform in a coffee house in front of 20 people if it was filled, right? And then it gradually got to more. So I just think the more you do something and force yourself out of your comfort zone, it becomes more comfortable and you can keep getting bigger.
And Steve, you also just released a new song titled All I Want Is You. Can you tell us a little bit about that song and what it means to be able to be producing these songs, especially headed into a more normal world?
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'm on a schedule of releasing a song or an album every 4 weeks, and that never changed. So the only thing that changed for me during the pandemic was performing out, which and for many years, I haven't been a musician who is like, performing every Friday at a place, right? I've done one-off concerts and things like that, but I've always gone in the studio and either, written a song and recorded that and released it, but I always have stuff coming out on, Spotify, Apple Music and things like that. And I'm well over 50 million plays on Spotify. I don't know how many on Apple Music, but, obviously people are listening to music a lot. So that's really been the same for me. So this most recent song is actually a cover of a not very well-known U2 song that I always loved from the 80s. And I think it was in Sing 2. I think it was in that, which I haven't seen yet, but a recent animated movie, which I hear is really good. It was in that. And so I decided to record it, and I love that song. And it's in general, I don't do covers of songs unless I think I can really do it justice. And I think I can do it a little bit different, but not just different to be different, but different, like a good nod to the song that maybe the writers of the song would appreciate and bring something new into the world. And this is one of those songs that gives me chills to hear or to play. So it was cool. That just came out last Thursday, and it's, right there on Spotify or, pretty much anywhere you can stream or download or steal music is where that song will be.
Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure having you on the Splash Live. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us some advice as well as an insight into what you're currently working on.
Yeah, I work on a lot of different things. So it's all on my website, steveacho.com, which partially serves as a digital business card that answers the question, what do you do? But in addition to music, I have an IT staffing company with my business partner, Elizabeth Newbold, who is brilliant. And we have government contracts, federal government. We work with Apple, with GM, with some other big companies. That's what I'm focused on a lot in terms of my, quote, real job. And then I also write a weekly blog that I've been doing for 6 years now, never missed a week. And they're very short, like bite-sized chunks. They should take less than 30 seconds to read. And it's not something that I'm monetizing in any way or advertising for. It's just something that I read a lot, I consume a lot, and these have little bite-sized chunks of wisdom that have been really impactful to me, and I hope that they are to others as well.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For all our friends in Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, Keiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Mushton. Thanks for watching The Splash Live.